Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Chris and I'm a surgical service registrar working in paediatric surgery in Australia. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about how to get by in an operating theatre for the first time when you've never been in one before. The first time I walked into one, I remember thinking how intimidating the place was. Everyone had a role, but I didn't, and everyone seemed to know what they were doing, and all I could identify was that I had no idea how to put on my gloves or my gown, and I felt like an absolute numpty. In fact, I've got a photo from the first time that I even did a suturing workshop. It was in Stanthorpe in a trip that we went on as a part of our first year of medical school to try and get a sense of what it might be like to work in a rural setting. And I remember sitting down at this table, looking over this piece of meat that they'd put in front of us and picking up the instruments for the first time, thinking, how do I even hold this? It feels so awkward in my hands. I don't know what I'm meant to be doing with it. And even the idea of opening and closing the arteries seemed like so hard that I remember my hand just aching for the rest of the day as we're sitting down trying to eat dinner. All I could think about was, how am I ever going to achieve this goal of working in surgery when I can't even do a single half-hour session of basic suturing technique without wrecking my arm for the entire day. When you're starting out, it feels really intimidating to walk into one of those rooms and think that maybe you could make a future there. So what I wanted to do today was talk about 6 things that I thought were critical to know when you're starting on a surgical rotation and you want to be in the operating theatre and you want to make a good impression. Because most of the time when people walk in, they just don't know where to start or what they should be doing or how they should talk to people or what they should and shouldn't know. So today that's what we're going to talk about, is if I was looking back to myself 9 years ago, what would I say to that guy sitting there over that hunk of meat to try and make him feel as comfortable as possible walking into an operating theatre and not being immediately intimidated and scared by the idea of being a surgeon. Okay, so the first critical thing is know what is happening. In hospitals today, everything is on a computer. You can look up what the elective lists are going to be, which patients are going to be coming in, what procedures they're going to be having, what sort of procedures they are, and who's going to be doing it. Probably up to a week in advance, maybe even longer, depending on where you're working and what setting you're working in. And assuming that the first theatre you walk into is an emergency theatre, then you're going to get a good idea about where you might fall into that. So what I recommend doing is find somebody within the rotation who has access to the theatre lists, and then ask them to give you either a copy of it, or alternatively just talk to them about what's going to be coming up and what might be handy. When you're a medical student starting out, the best lists to become involved in are the ones that are dealing with simple, basic elective cases. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first is that everyone in the theatre is going to be more relaxed. If it's not a high-stakes operation, if it's a more routine procedure, then everyone's going to be feeling a little bit more relaxed. They're going to be more willing to teach, they're going to be more willing to let you do things. And it's a really nice environment to be able to walk into, when there's a little bit of music playing in the background, everyone's sort of having a good day, and you're just working through some really core basic surgical skills. Awesome opportunity to start learning. And if you know what's happening, you can position yourself to be in the right place at the right time. If they're doing a laparoscopic procedure, more than likely only 2 people are going to be able to scrub up to that procedure: the camera operator or assistant and the primary surgeon. But if they're doing a simple open procedure, then there's plenty of room around the bed for extra hands. You can get scrubbed up, and if you have the chance, you can hopefully do something as well. Okay, lesson number 2. Come on the ward round in the morning. As a medical student, when you come into the surgical department, and if I'm there as a registrar or if one of the residents is around, then we really want to get a chance to meet you, to find out what you're interested in, about what you know and what you don't know, and to introduce you to the patients who we're going to be seeing and who we're likely going to be operating on that day. I know it's early, it's like pre-coffee early, it's before the sun has risen early. But if you come then at 6 o'clock in the morning to do the ward round with the rest of us, to hear the handover, then it means that you're going to feel invested in the team, you're going to feel invested in the patients, and you're going to have a bit of an idea about their background, about what's involved and how you might be able to learn and how you might be able to help out. Because everyone has a role to play, and the ward rounds can seem like an intimidating thing, moving from patient to patient really quickly in the morning. And maybe not the sort of thing that a medical student has much of a place in, but if you come and you learn and you give people an opportunity to teach you there, then I can guarantee they're going to be more invested in teaching you in the operating theatre as well, and you're going to get so much more out of that experience. Number 3, introduce yourself to the team. When you walk into the operating theatre for the first time, there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be the surgeon and probably their assistant, whether that's a registrar or a resident. There's going to be a scrub nurse, a scout nurse, an anaesthetic tech, an anaesthetist, an anaesthetic nurse, an orderly, a patient, possibly a relative, and maybe a coordinator as well, who might be popping in and out and trying to figure out how the rest of the day is going to run. It's a lot of people to know. We've all worked together for a long time, and I remember the first time I walked into an operating theatre and saw everyone, I thought, where do I even start? But the key thing I want you to keep in your head is that every single one of those people can teach you something. And if you go in for the first time and you introduce yourself to the scrub nurse and the scout nurse and the orderly and the anaesthetist and all of those other people, every single one of those people is a resource who's going to help you out and make you feel more at home. And I can promise you that there is nothing better when you've been asked to help scrub for a case and you haven't scrubbed that many times than having one of the scout nurses help you put your gloves on and your gown on properly, show you where to stand and make some room for you around the table and give you a good vantage point. And people will do that for you if you make the effort to get to know them. So immediately go up and introduce yourself and ask them if there's anything that they think you should know about being in the operating theatre and helping out the team on the day. Number 4 is focus on the tasks that you know you can help with, however simple they are. It might be asking the nursing staff whether or not you can help escort a patient's relative back to the waiting room, or helping one of the orderlies clean the operating theatre between cases, or maybe it's asking one of the surgical assistants what the best way is that you can help them out in getting ready or prepping the patient for the next case. All of these simple things aren't operating technically, but by helping out in this way, you're showing people that you're engaged and enthusiastic and willing to do even the simple things. And I can guarantee you that it'll help make an impression that you're there to learn. And when people feel like they're being helped out, they want to help you out as well. Number 5 is practice the basics at home before you get to the operating theatre. Nobody starts off being perfect at something. It takes a lot of time to build up technical skills and proficiency. And the more you practice, the easier it's going to be. So if you can take that practice time out of the operating theatre and into your house or into your apartment or into your dorm room, then it's going to make that first day in an operating theatre so much easier. And you don't even need all that much. The equipment that you really need is maybe some twine. If you've got access to it, go on Amazon and get a basic suturing kit. And with that, you can learn pretty much everything you need to know to do the basics at home. Practice your hand ties. And when you feel like you've done it to death, practice it some more. Wait a second, let me show you something. All right, this is my bag. Where is it? Perfect. This is all you need to practice hand ties at home. Just a sec, I'll show you. That way, when you're operating for the first time and you're standing across from a surgeon, you can say to them, I've been practicing the theory for a while now. Can I put it into practice here as well? And 99% of the time, if you show that you've gone through the effort of acquiring the skills, they're going to teach you how to do it in the real world as well. Finally, number 6. Set your expectations. When you're starting out in surgery, everyone starts from the same point. Every surgeon that you work with, every registrar that you work with, every resident that you work with, all of them were at a point where they knew nothing about medicine at one stage. 9 years ago, when I started out, I had not done any science since high school, and I'd been rejected from medical school on my first attempt, and I was sitting there thinking, there's no way that I'm ever going to be a doctor. And over time, it becomes easier and easier as you put more and more work and effort and time into it. And that process, you can't speed it up. You can work hard at it, you can be efficient about it, and you can try and get there as quickly as possible, but you have to go through the process regardless. Everybody does. Some people a little bit quicker than others, but you're perfectly capable of doing it. And if I can go from studying humanities and international relations to working as a paediatric surgical service registrar in a decade, then I know you can too. So if you like this sort of thing, then subscribe to my channel, because I want to spend some time talking about things that help me get to where I am and learn from you guys about what you might want to know about and what you think would be important when you're starting out on this journey in medicine, and particularly on this journey towards surgery. And hopefully together we'll get better and we'll get there.